Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, a mass public sector walkout has seen thousands take to the streets. Our essential workers calling for improved pay and conditions, with coordinated action causing disruption, and there's no resolution in sight.
Masses march through Hobart, pleading to be heard.
What do we want? A fair go! When do we want it? Now!
Calling for improved pay and conditions after months of negotiating. At Parliament lawns, they met striking child safety workers, firefighters, paramedics and more. A crowd of thousands, with one man in their sights and on their signs.
And I ask, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? I tell you there's not. There is not when you have a bully and a liar in charge.
Saying they're sick of feeling undervalued.
We've got some capable people in that sector working, specialising, but not getting valued for that. And comes holiday time and we're still down without a wage.
The only thing teachers really want is to meet the needs of their students, and in the current climate, they cannot do it.
Action also taken in the north and northwest. The strikes forced the shutdown of services. Parents made early pick-up runs, with schools closing just after midday.
I think it's definitely warranted. I fully support the teachers.
It gives me a chance to spend extra time with my grandson, so very happy.
I don't think it's a great thing for the students, but it's necessary.
Strikes and wages dominating question time.
I see this action as frankly irresponsible. Irresponsible.
The Premier says his wage offer is fair, reasonable and affordable, defending a 9.5% rise over 3 years and cash bonuses that add up to an extra 5% in the first year.
What I won't be doing is breaking the budget and breaking services for the Tasmanian community.
But unions say they need to see good faith negotiating on conditions.
We need better job security, we need better support for those who are exposed to trauma in the workplace, and we need modern career structures.
The message today to this government very clearly is that if they don't sort out this particular claim, that they're in for a Christmas of pretty heavy industrial action.
For more now, we're joined by state political reporter Josh Duggan. Now Josh, are we headed for more strike action?
As we heard there, Kim, it certainly looks like it. At today's rally in Hobart, a motion was passed unanimously condemning the government's bargaining. They also resolved to commit to further strike action unless the Premier intervenes. Today in Parliament, Jeremy Rockliff maintained that this is his government's final offer, but it clearly wasn't enough for those who were here today. So it looks like the two parties
that he looks at the depth and the breadth of public sector workers who've turned out across the state today and reconsiders.
Yeah, so it does look like the two parties are still a little way apart, Kim.
It does. Thank you very much there, Josh. Josh Duggan. Well, Tasmania has recorded the longest emergency department wait times in the country, according to the Australasian College for Emergency Medicine's State of Emergency report. Its findings revealing 90% of patients are forced to wait around 22 hours before being discharged. The state's emergency departments also failing to reach the required number of senior medical staff.
What we need to do urgently now is to redesign the system so that Tasmanians can access the care they need in a timely, affordable and accessible way.
But the Health Department says it is working to stop unnecessary hospital attendances, increasing bed capacity, launching its pharmacy after-hours advice and expanding the Royal Hobart Hospital's short-stay unit. The jury in the murder trial of 23-year-old Burnie father Bobby Medcraft is considering its verdict 6 weeks after the trial of the 5 accused began. McKenna Bailey is outside the Supreme Court in Launceston. McKenna, what's the latest?
Kim, the jury retired around 2:30 this afternoon and have now left for the day. Justice Robert Pearce spent much of the day summing up the case, telling the jury there are several verdicts possible for each accused: guilty of murder, not guilty of murder but guilty of manslaughter, or not guilty of any crime. A guilty murder verdict must be unanimous from all 12 jurors. If Mr Sheen is found not guilty of murder, then the other 4 defendants are also released of the murder charge. And Kim, each of the 5 accused will receive individual verdicts. The jury will continue its deliberations tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much there, McKenna Bailey. Tas Networks has successfully demolished a transmission tower near Powatina after a landslip left the structure's top half hanging in mid-air. Engineers using explosives to safely bring down the wires that were holding it up.
Really, in 100 years, this is the first time we've ever had a loss of this magnitude.
Tas Networks is confident the tower will be rebuilt by Christmas, but is using the next week to restore a nearby power line also damaged by the landslip. Well, Tasmania's spiritual home of Aussie rules will become the temporary home of A-League soccer when Western United takes over North Hobart Oval early next year. A Saturday night double-header is locked in for January 21 when the women's side plays Brisbane Roar, before the men face Sydney FC.
As boutique as you can get to a football stadium, and I think it's got a rich history both in all codes, but it's also had some really famous teams play here before, so we're just building on that legacy.
Western United will also return to Launceston for the third year in a row in a Friday night clash against Wellington Phoenix on February 17. The Phoenix are no strangers to Tasmania, having played the Devonport Strikers at Valley Road in the Australia Cup in August. And the General Manager of Dorset Council has resigned. Tim Watson has been at the helm of the council for the past decade, but will take a step back effective from December 5. The decision comes after claims he was bullied and harassed by Mayor Greg Howard, with Watson issuing legal action last month. Mr Watson is currently on leave and will not return. In the interim, John Marrick is currently acting General Manager. More social housing is on the way to help ease the state's crisis. Expressions of interest will open this Saturday for the Community Housing Growth Program, with $45 million allocated to build 200 new homes. Minister Guy Barnett announced the funds today, calling on community providers, not-for-profits and local government organisations to apply. Some of the state's youngest minds have celebrated their commitment to education at a graduation ceremony. In its 6th year, the Children's University Tasmania program aims to encourage learning outside of school hours while promoting self-confidence.
A love of learning celebrated at a special ceremony.
Sassy Ray.
"97 Northern Tasmanian students have donned their cap and gown for graduation.
Very exciting. I really love Children's University because we get to go to different places and do different things.
I like how we get to spend time with teachers and other people teaching us how to do things.
The Children's University program offers learning opportunities outside of the classroom for those aged 7 to 14.
Whether it's art or soccer or painting or doing their own inquiry, and we capture all of those hours in a passport.
A passport to learning, with students graduating today celebrating a collective 4,000 hours of extracurricular education.
They just love it. It's really important that these programs exist to show our students that learning is for life.
Giving young minds a chance to learn new skills.
I've learned how to do origami, loom bands and a bunch of art things.
I've learned to do yoga, writing and some pottery.
It's just a really great way to be doing both the activity and also trying to find out more about how we can improve educational attainment in Tasmania in ways that are celebratory, recognise the strengths of the children and their families.
Encouraging inquisitive minds and self-learning. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
The Olympia Warriors have been booted from the NPL competition, making way for Launceston United to join statewide soccer's top tier for the first time. But the Warriors are putting on their armour and launching an appeal. Long a powerhouse of the sport, Olympia Warriors now have serious chinks in their armour, dropped from the NPL over substandard facilities, poor on-field performance and a lack of players coming through the ranks.
With the backdrop really of the last 12 months in particular, there just was not a high level of confidence that they would actually have the players to fulfil those requirements.
Football Tasmania making the shock call this afternoon, an even bigger shock to the club itself, which was left bitterly disappointed in the decision handed down at 1 p.m, the club claiming it was only informed of the bombshell 5 minutes before the media was told. The governing body hopes it'll spur the Warriors to come back bigger and stronger than ever.
By rebuilding the club and getting some of the basics right.
The big winner is Launceston United, rejoining a State League competition for the first time since 1998 and giving the NPL an even split of sides in the south and north of the state.
Clubs can go through cycles where obviously they're more or less successful, and there's various factors that contribute to that.
Olympia's women's side has also been dropped from the Super League. The club will lodge an appeal. Footy maker Sharon is boosting its partnership with one of the state's largest junior leagues. 18 new footballs are being donated to the Northern Tasmanian Junior Football Association. The league's old footies will be passed on to schools and clubs for training.
Gone are the days where we used to have the same footy all year, so it's really important we actually rejuvenate that space with the footies.
We've been making footies out of Melbourne for a long time now, over a century, so the category is healthy, the code is healthy.
Sharon has sponsored the NTFA's senior competition for more than 15 years. In the TSL, North Hobart has announced Adam Bester as its new senior coach. Bester has been an assistant at the club for 2 years and won 5 NTFL premierships as a player for Burnie in the 2000s.
I want to see these young players improve, and not only improve on the field but off the field, and with that I'm sure that success will come.
But the club is frustrated it can only offer Bester a 1-year contract, with the State League's future beyond next season still up in the air.
I've been saying for years that we need to have a model in Tasmania that in many ways replicates what they have in South Australia and West Australia. An independent commission that runs the game here, and a properly funded, elite level football competition that keeps our best kids in the state.
North Hobart hasn't made finals since 2011. And a long bomb goal saw Tasmania hit the lead late against Victoria at the AFL's Inclusion Carnival, but the Big V hit back, pipping Tassie to win by 2 points at the final siren. The Tassie Tigers are gearing up for a must-win match against Melbourne tomorrow night. The team is hoping to clinch a spot in the Hockey One finals after defeating New South Wales 2-1 last Friday.
Facing the best teams and being able to not only match them but beat them sort of means we're in a pretty good position.
The Tigers are currently sitting in 5th place on the ladder. Melbourne is below in 6th. The Tasmania Tridents have clawed back to 5 wins and 6 losses under the bright lights of the Bowls Premier League. Last night the side held off Perth in a nail-biting finale.
He's up, he's giving it a chance. He's missing narrowly. Tassie, hang on.
Today, the Tridents held their nerve to win in a tie-break against New South Wales team Moama. Rebecca Van Ash remains skipper of the state side after retiring from international competition with the Jackaroos. And finally in sport, he's known as Razer Rob, a humble yet fearsome fighter from Hobart who's about to enter a $1 million matchup. But there's more than money on the line when Razer fights for a lucrative light heavyweight title. Winning would fulfil a lifelong dream. With a razor-sharp focus every time he goes to war.
Fighting out of Hobart, Tasmania, here is Razer Robert Wilkinson!
Razer Rob visualises every fight from start to finish.
From getting to the venue, backstage, warming up, getting your hands wrapped, to the music playing, you getting your name called, walking out.
And in just over a fortnight, he'll walk out for real in the fight of his life. On the line is the Professional Fighting League's light heavyweight title. The prize, $1 million US. A far cry from what Razer's used to.
Last year I had an MMA fight, won an Australian title in Australia, in Melbourne, and I got $2,000. So it's a bit of a jump up from that.
But even the eye-watering purse is overshadowed by what the title would mean. Rob's had 12 years of torture, punching and grappling his way to the top after taking an interest in combat sports as a teenager in Hobart.
Me and my brother used to always wrestle each other, watch WWE stuff and fight each other, and Dad and Mum would hate it.
But the 30-year-old hasn't lost the love for the one-on-one Hell in a Cell, even if it means pushing through long, agonising build-ups between each fight.
If you know you're training as much as you should be, you feel that confidence going into a fight.
Now, only Russian strongman Omari Akhmedov stands in his way, but with Razer on a 5-fight winning streak, the purse and prestige could be within reach.
Good evening. Scott's Peak was the state's top at 30 today. Launceston 27, 24 in Hobart and 21 in Burnie and Devonport. 28 at Ouse and Strawn, Luncheon Hill and Grove 26, King Island 24 and 23 on Flinders Island. Patches of cloud developed over inland parts of the state today with a bank of sea fog over Bass Strait. A small amount of low-level cloud can be seen over the state with extensive thunderstorms and afternoon cloud over parts of the mainland. Tomorrow's chart shows a high-pressure centre over the Tasman Sea extending to a ridge over the east of the country, and a series of troughs lie over the central and western parts of the country, and a cold front approaches southern WA. North to northeasterly winds of 20 to 30 knots with southwesterly swells reaching 2.5 metres in the west and south. And there's a strong wind warning from east off Flinders Island to the far northwest coast. Sunny and 27 in Hobart tomorrow, a possible shower for Cygnet, New Norfolk 29 degrees. A shower or two in Launceston, Devonport 21, and a possible shower in 24 at Campbelltown. Showers increasing across the northwest, 18 in Burnie, Strawn 25 and 22 at Smithton. St Helens 21, partly cloudy in Swansea and a possible shower, and 22 at Fingal. And tomorrow's UV remains at very high 8s across the state. Showers statewide on Friday with possible thunderstorms about the central and eastern parts, 23 in Launceston, St Helens and Hobart 22. Saturday, showers are mainly about the north with possible thunderstorms for King Island. And more showers and possible thunderstorms on Sunday, 19 in Swansea and Hobart, Launceston 21. Across the country tomorrow, mostly sunny in Brisbane and Canberra, Sydney 23, showers increasing in Melbourne, 37 in Alice Springs and sunny in Broome. And right now in Hobart, it's partly cloudy, Launceston 22 and Devonport 18. And Kim, that sunshine was nice whilst it lasted.
It'll be back. Thank you, Victoria. That is all your news for now. We'll be back with updates. Thanks for your company tonight. Good night.